Hey, it's Conrad, the mortgage guy, and you're listening to
My World.
And of course, we couldn't do it without the Hall of Famer himself, Double J, Jeff Jarrett. Jeff, how are you, man?
Oh, boy. The man has another new toy in the toy box. Folks, saddle up. Oh, Conrad Thompson's going to be playing on the 2s and 3s. We don't know what he has up his sleeve today, but I am happy to be here, excited to be here. Man, oh, man, Connie, how is life treating you? Because we kicked off with football. Apologies.
Come on.
Yeah. For our friends down under. I know we've got some great down under listeners. Obviously, we've got across the pond. We've got listeners all over the globe. But here in North America, football kicked off this weekend. Football game after football game. And, you know, Conrad, if I wasn't so gullible, I would say possibly, I don't know, when there's money's involved, there may be a little scripting here and there. But who am I to say? I'm just been around the wrestling business. So, Connie, how are you, pal? Looking forward.
I'm great, man. Excited that college football finally kicked off. Of course, the Alabama Crimson Tide went ass. Yeah, Alabama kicked their football season off this weekend. It was pretty exciting. They hosted the Warhawks of Louisiana Monroe. They scored 73 points and pitched a shutout, which is more than we can say for those lowly Volunteers who only scored 72 points, bunch of losers. And they let East Tennessee State, which if you're not familiar, I'm pretty sure is where Napoleon Dynamite plays. They scored 17 points. I mean, how does, are you not embarrassed to show your face in public?
Wait, Silva, you're toting an ass whooping. You've already got like pictures up, and this is a conspiracy right out of the gate. You've got the toy box. You had the little crowd supply applause meter already going. Come on now.
Are you not fired up that Alabama is back? I mean, Alabama 73 points, pitched a shutout. The lowly Volunteers could only limp to 72 points. Such a loser.
Our listeners deserve better. Our viewers on YouTube, myworldpod.com, like, subscribe, share all you want. But this nonsense of Alabama kicking off the season with a 1-1 record, would you just stop it? You know. All
right, you're right. You're right. Let me give you the floor. Let's hear about those Tennessee Titans. Go ahead, Jeff. I mean, has Cam Ward completed a pass yet? Will they catch a pass? I mean, did you see his dad? His dad was trying to throw himself down the stairs like nobody's going to catch anything. It's just same old Tennessee.
Clay Travis, our buddy Clay Travis, is running commentary on the Titans. That's a pretty big voice. That's a pretty big megaphone. He destroys them. Get rid of the entire coaching staff now. I
don't think the coaches can make them boys catch them. You know, Cam Ward was hitting them. I mean, that last interception, I felt so bad for him. It's like he literally had it, and then just like, here you go, defender. I don't understand. I don't understand.
Yes, is probably absolutely loving this right now. He's up there.
Well, he needs to pipe down. I mean, they barely beat the Browns. Are you kidding?
Squeak by Mrs. Browns. My man,
the Browns.
My man Nathan Segura, who I whipped his ass last year in his dream match. His Browns and Mrs. Browns and Abyss's Bengals. They all suck. Of course, our guy Conrad, I still consider Derrick Henry a Tennessee Titan, and DeAndre Hopkins. They both scored last night for the Ravens.
Wait. Did you say you consider Henry?
Look, you're coming.
Come on. He's taking the show on the road. By the way, let's get the clown show over with. I can't believe you did this, but you threw down the gauntlet. And I guess we can announce that we have a winner. Not only is he a longtime member of the Ad Free Show's family, he's a faithful friend of the show. The one and only Coach Rosie.
Yeah.
Submitted a piece of art.
Coach.
He's going to be getting a signed 8x10.
Yep.
From Double J.
Look at that, Connie. Beautiful. Crimson colored.
This is awful.
No, it's not. It's beautiful.
Coach Rosie is 50 years old. Why is he coloring? What's going on?
Yes, sir. Alabama 17, Florida State 31. Florida State racked up some points this weekend as well. So the powerhouse that they are, DeBoer, is keeping his seat went from red hot to just hot. Or is he still on the hot seat down there, Connie?
I don't know, but I know you're going to be on the hot seat at adfreeshows.com. I can't believe this is real, but you're going to be sitting down with our group over at adfreeshows.com, and it's happening this Thursday night. It's going to be your chance to ask Jeff anything. And it's a little different than the way we do it on the shows because you're going to be on a Zoom with Double J. He can see you, you can see him, and you won't just be typing your questions to ask Jeff a question. You'll be on camera talking to him. It's going down this Thursday at 7 p.m. Eastern, exclusively on adfreeshows.com. And Jeff's Q&A is part of a whole slew of live events. As you and I are recording this on Monday morning, just last night, we had Tony Schiavone. Later tonight, we'll have David Crockett. And the hits are going to keep coming. We've got fun live set up every single day this week. Can't wait for you to be live with Double J at adfreeshows.com. It's been a while since we did one of these, Jeff. This will be fun.
You know, Conrad, people that aren't familiar, and I think sometimes we don't do, and shame on you, but kind of letting the world know what an ad-free family member is, because our YouTube audience keeps growing and they may not have a clue. But I will say this, you just hit the nail on the head. It is not, it's a completely different format. Folks, in post-pandemic world, everybody does Zoom or Google Meets or whatever it may be. Well, that's what it is. And it is truly one-on-one. I really, and the folks that have done this, Conrad, you probably don't even know this kind of little tidbit of information, but I really like to get into it. And I will, for the most part, I start asking the questions because I get an opportunity with 20, 30, 40, 50, whatever it may be, a little focus group there. So I get a chance to pick their brain. So I really do enjoy it. And Karen always, I tell her, honey, I'll be down in 45 minutes. That's what these things, Conrad doesn't like for us to go. And the team, anyway, between 30 and 45, close to an hour. I've done these up to 90 minutes, Conrad. And I come down the steps and Karen looks at me like, oh, okay. What happened to dinner time on the hour? But anyway, I have a lot of fun with them, Conrad. They are a lot of fun up close and one-on-one conversation. So I appreciate the opportunity again.
Well, we're excited and looking forward to seeing everybody hang out over at adfreeshows.com. But I saw over the weekend, it looked like you were making towns. The big news is out. MJF and Alicia got married. I guess she is now Alicia Friedman. This is a big deal. I mean, I remember them doing interviews and such way back in 2018 on the way to the original All In and Starcast. And I know you and I were both there, as were they. I mean, Alicia was like one of our Starcast correspondents for that. And of course, Max maybe had his coming out party at All In. But I saw you and Karen joined a lot of your friends and colleagues as guests of the wedding this past weekend. I mean, first things first, you've been around a bunch of wrestling weddings. What'd you think? How fun was this? It looks like a blast.
Oh, Conrad. And you know what? And I know, like, me and Karen had a conversation walking through LaGuardia Terminal on Saturday afternoon. We were headed home, and we just, times have changed. I always look at weddings and these type of settings to be not just private, but it's just, I guess in a lot of ways, it's just, in my mind, and maybe it's my mindset, it's as far away from work as you're going to get, or far away from the public life as you're going to get. And I know, I'll call it the TMZ of the world and all that kind of stuff. It's a different era. Kids are different. Society's different, all that. So I still kind of look at it as a private moment, but she was, and what kind of prompted that is, the pictures and out and all that. But I can tell you this, Conrad, through the years, I've been on the road a lot. So I will say I've missed my fair share of weddings, unfortunately, but I've never been to a Jewish wedding. And have you been, Conrad, to a Jewish wedding?
I've not, no.
Okay. I mean, I guess you could say they, and I don't take this with all due respect, they know how to throw a party. It was an incredible evening. I cannot say enough good things. Just on how from the time we pulled up and the valet folks took the car until the time I got back in it. It was a unbelievable first class experience, and hell, the cocktail / hors d'oeuvre hour could have easily served. It was a meal, Conrad, and I wish Cassio was on here right now because he'd get a good grin at it, because they had basically a taco bar, a sushi bar, a carving station with 3 or 4 kinds of meats. They had the normal, olives and cheese and fruit plate and all that. They had 5 or 6 stations, Conrad. And that was just, so they had the ceremony, beautiful ceremony, like only it had a little pizzazz in there, a little wrestling showbiz in there. But the ceremony really was beautiful. The vows were beautiful. It was really a cool, intimate setting. And then it was outside, and then you go into the cocktail / hors d'oeuvre hour, and then you get on over to the main course meal, and then, and I'll call it speeches or little sayings, best man, maid of honor, the parents. It was really, really cool. But and some Jewish traditions were a part of everything. But it was really, really a cool night, Conrad. A lot of fun, no doubt about it. I got a new BFF. Me and Ken John just hit it off. But no, Conrad, it was a lot of fun. Karen had a good time, and it is it's good to kind of see folks embark on a new journey. We've both been there, so nothing but wishing both of them love and success and happiness until eternity.
I can't help but share the fun video that someone dug up over the weekend and said, "Hey, this may have been where it all began." I want to share that with you here now, Jeff.
Shut up. I'm MJF reporting live from the worst country ever, Canada, and right next to me is Tits McGee from Whore Island.
That's MJF flirting. That's what constituted flirting in MJF's world in 2018.
We see that again. And can we see that again?
Sure.
Shut up. I'm MJF reporting live from the worst country ever, Canada, and right next to me is Tits McGee from Whore Island.
Okay. Conrad, we're going to do it one more time, okay?
Okay.
Don't look at Max, because since he's got the microphone, I think our eyes are drawn to him. Watch Alicia.
Shut up. I'm MJF reporting live from the worst country ever, Canada, and right next to me is Tits McGee from Whore Island.
It's great. That MJF charm, it works on everybody. Some people pay for a meet and greet. Other people change their last name. Congrats to Max and Alicia.
Oh, you are too much, Connie.
That was super fun. I don't know if you saw online, but the photo of the cast of characters that were there. I mean, there's a lot of folks who work for AEW who were there. And somewhere on X, a friend of the show, Trevor Dame, posted, "Bill Watts about to fine Max and Paige for exposing the business." And Tony Khan saw that and replied saying, "Alicia is a great person, and the fan favorites came to support her on her big night." And now that is a Bill Watts explanation. I loved it. I thought this was a fun interaction. Of course, people are trying to have the conversation about kayfabe in 2025. That's a little silly when shows like Unreal air. I thought it was really fun of Tony Khan to get in on the action and say, actually, the fan favorites were there to support Alicia. Isn't that great?
Ain't I great?
Ain't I great?
Oh, yeah. I mean, come on. You just got to love social media. It just anything to engagement, and TK like to engage. And, truth be known, Conrad, Silva, pull that picture back up there. I mean, Max and Hangman are a good 10 feet apart. I'm at least 10 feet the way the camera angle is from MJF. Max Caster snuck up behind me. What is not seen in this picture is all the black shirt security. There's 4 or 5 people with pistols and security, and I don't see some of the they're not in that phony. I mean, there was so much security, so they knew that when the fight was about to break down, that it'd been a huge pull apart, and so everybody, you had to. There's prenups, but there's also there's certain things you got to sign before you walk into the wedding, and all the talent had to sign agreements that no fisticuffs. There's no doubt that the law of the land would have come in, but I mean, Conrad, I mean, come on. I mean,
wait, Jeff, hang on.
Okay.
Over from Hangman's left in the foreground, he's wearing a tuxedo. He's standing next to Penelope Ford. Is that
Bear Gibb?
That nothing happening? Tony Schiavone, that motherfucker.
Of course, yeah. Listen, can we kind of clean up the language? That's the esteemed colleague, my broadcast colleague. I'm on 0 Hour. That is. Did you just call him Emmett? That is Mr.
Tony Schiavone.
That is Mr. Thomas Schiavone.
No. Anthony is a son of a bitch. I mean, he totally missed my wedding. He said, "Oh, I can't come, Connie. It's football season." Was it not football season when those got married last week?
Connie, I don't want to stir any pot, but there was security off there. But I know that there were a couple of folks over there that kind of eased over Schiavone off and on during the night, and they had iPads and phones and said, "Hey, Tony, I know you love football. You want to watch?" He literally dog cussed him and said, "Get the F away from me. This is a man's wedding. This is the reception. I have no time for football whatsoever." That's a true statement. That is absolute. Wait, did he really tell you it's football season? He couldn't go to
Yeah.
Are you telling me that with a straight face?
Yeah. And by the way, we donated all of the proceeds from his fabulous podcast. Well, I may cancel it this week, but what happened when I said, you know what? Because he said, "Man, this is coming at a good time in my life. I got to pay for my daughter's wedding." And I go, "Dude, let's just dump all the revenue, all the proceeds from this podcast. Let's make sure we get that wedding landed."
Mm-hmm.
And we did. And then that nothing happened. Her didn't show up to my wedding. All he had to do is come eat. There's no investment, just a little time, and I wasn't worth it.
I said earlier that I've missed a lot of weddings in my time, but it was for work. Are you telling me Schiavone missed your wedding because he had a date with his lazy boy with remotes in his hand? That literally.
I watch the Georgia Bulldogs. I mean, what if they win this weekend? I can't miss it.
Oh my!
Anybody gives a damn.
Connie,
it's embarrassing.
It is. I feel for you. I mean, it's unusual that I have this much compassion for you. You know what? Maybe we ought to do like a wrestler's court with the ad-free family and put him on trial. I'd be a good judge, or I could be a prosecuting attorney. I damn sure don't want to defend him. Maybe JBL could defend him because JBL is a lying, cheating, Steve, no good son of a bitch to begin with. But I really am, Connie. I am shocked to hear that story. And you know what? Silva, go back to Two Shot, because I absolutely have to get Conrad's reaction to this. Do you know, between me, you, and our listeners, that we couldn't get Schiavone off the dance floor?
Say what?
Karen said that she has been to a lot of weddings through the years, and that she loved, like, the band. They played all kinds of, I mean, shout out to that band. They were phenomenal. They were great, played everything. I mean, but yes, I mean, the guys would be on and off the dance floor. The girls loved it, and the lead singer and a couple of people, but they knew the engagement. We couldn't get Schiavone off the dance floor
because he fell down.
No. I wish I had a machine, a little, but wah.
I mean, you're telling me that Tony Schiavone was out there cutting a rug?
Oh, not a rug. That's a plural.
Wait, was Lois there?
Nope.
Okay. Well, then he was able to have fun. And you can have fun too. Your season, your shot. The NFL season is rolling, and every touchdown can bring you closer to a payout with DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. From the first touchdown scorer to anytime TD props or the thrill of live in-game betting, every snap, that's right, every snap is loaded with opportunity. And new customers, this one is for you. Bet just $5 and get $200 in bonus bets instantly. Plus over $200 off NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use the code MyWorld. That's code MyWorld, and you'll get $200 in bonus bets instantly when you place your first $5 bet. Plus over $200 off NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. In partnership with DraftKings, the crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY. That's 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Just call 888-789-7777 or visit ccp.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas, 21 plus, age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction. Fees may apply in Illinois, void in Ontario. Bonus bets expire 7 days after issuance. See sportsbook.draftkings.com/promos. NFL Sunday Ticket offer for new subscribers only and auto renews until canceled. Digital games and commercial use excluded. Restrictions apply. Additional NFL Sunday Ticket terms at youtube.com/NFL Sunday Ticket/terms. Limited time offer. Hey, Jeff, we've had a lot of fun with DraftKings, and I know you're a football junkie. You going to have some fun with the Titans this week?
Buddy, all kidding aside, $200 off. I mean, guys, I like
you bet $5 and you get 200 in bonus bets instantly. You can't shake a stick as that, as we say in the South.
Tell me how that works. Tell me how they make that work. It is unbelievable. I know one thing, my Sunday Ticket, you can watch all those games. They have all kind of, folks, I have no idea how, shout out Dave Green, how you finagled this deal, but the My World listeners, if you don't jump on this and you're an NFL fan, I mean, the price of a beer going to one game and you get every game in the comfort of your home. YouTube, I use it all the time when I'm traveling. Your out of market games, you don't miss nothing, but over $200. I still don't know how they do that, Conrad. Only a $5 bet, but tighten up, baby. Cam Ward, Coach Keith Morrison, I could not agree with you more, my man. Cam played well. I don't know if you got a shot to see Cam's father. Hey,
what are you waiting for? Go download the DraftKings Sportsbook app right now. Use our code MyWorld, and you'll get $200 in bonus bets instantly when you place your first $5 bet. Jeff, I do want to talk a little bit about. I guess we'll put a button on the wedding talk. I was kind of surprised, but I guess this is the life that they signed up for. Immediately after getting married, somehow MJF finds his way from Long Island back into the corner of Swanson and Rittner in Philadelphia, and he interferes in the Collision main event, costing Mark Briscoe his match against Takeshita. I don't think a lot of people expected that he would be right back on the show so close to the wedding. And I got to ask, how would Miss Karen have felt about you saying, honey, I know we're supposed to go on a honeymoon. That is the way this traditionally goes. However, I got to go whoop up on Mark Briscoe.
Oh, Conrad. I mean, look, Alicia, she has been in the entertainment business a while. Same with Karen. It comes with the territory. So you got to kind of take the good with the bad. And that's just part of it. I know it's probably, I shouldn't say normal, but I don't know. It is what it is. But if that isn't dialed in straight into, and I don't even want to say character, who the real DNA of MJF is driven, focused, passionate, maybe a little ego. I'm going to do what's best for business. And he shows up. Thought it came across well.
I'm looking forward to seeing what's next at the ECW arena. We are winding down AEW's residency They've got a big show tomorrow night, and then I think one more, and
That's
then
it.
they're packing things in.
Shut it down
Uh,
this week.
We are going to be talking about Jeff Jarrett's top 10 wrestling venues, and we'll even have some honorable mentions.
A
So
lot.
we want you to participate in the conversation. Drop some notes in the comments right now. Let us know what makes your top 10 of wrestling venues, because at least for me, and I know we'll get there, the ECW arena, it's on my list. Also on my list that we need to discuss, though, is that Bryan Danielson is going to be joining the Dynamite commentary team full time. Now, how exactly he'll fit in with the usual Excalibur, Taz, Tony Schiavone trio, or maybe there's like a occasional substitute. I'm not exactly sure how this is going to shake out, but what I know for sure is that Tony Khan announced over the weekend that Bryan Danielson, fresh off of, I thought, his phenomenal work at Forbidden Door, and he was filling in for Taz that day, and he even worked the go home show for that event in Glasgow. Now it's official. I guess that was I don't know, a tryout, a dress rehearsal. Bryan Danielson, who you regard as being one of the absolute best in-ring bell-to-bell performers of all time, may be transitioning to a second act because he's a full-time member of the Dynamite commentary team. I know you've gotten to be pretty close to Bryan. Are you excited about this? Did you expect this? What'd you think?
You know, and I've said, and you know, we've gotten into it on some of the TNA conversations about, you know, we were so loaded with talent and under a tight budget and blah, 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 all this. But here's one thing that I am absolutely certain of. Had I met the American Dragon during whatever years they were, Conrad, you're better than years on that, when he was 06, 07, whatever, right there, there's no doubt in my mind that I would have done everything in my power to get him on board because of his natural charisma and storytelling. I mean, we sat down in, where was that, a couple of maybe months ago, San Antonio, Conrad, and me and Jay Lethal were talking, and then Bryan, and all of a sudden we got into one story, then to another story, and to another story. And I had supposed to be downstairs doing some live event stuff, and it just like the time flew. And I say that to say he's a really good storyteller. He knows, obviously, the industry inside and out, calling matches, I'll call it backstage, and thinking things through and the nuances. And I've said this many times, you know, his in-ring ability, it's because he can put it all together in a very, very dramatic, compelling way. And so he's going to bring that skill set to the table. I'm excited for the product, first and foremost. You know, it is a grind. It is. I used to tell Mike Tenay, it's the only job that I'm damn sure I know, A, that I don't want, and B, that I'm not so sure my skill set. And, you know, here I was, what was it, 2 years ago, that I called an entire Dynamite. I say that Bryan's got his work cut out just like anybody else. You know, when I think of through the years, whether it's Lawler and Ross or Vince and Gorilla or Jesse, you know, you know, Schiavone, all the years he's done it. When you sit through and call a 2-hour show or a 3-hour show, some of these pay-per-view 4-hour show, it is a real skill set. Bryan will be up for the task, but it is a different gear you got to put, to me, your emotions in, because Bryan, you know, I think a master at 20 to 30-minute matches of, you know, once you kind of push past that really, really good TV match with maybe have, I don't know, 12 to 16 minutes is kind of a long TV match. Once you put that and you put it into another gear, I think Bryan has very, very few peers at that, you know, past the 20-minute mark, 25-minute mark. Well, he's going to be out there at a minimum of 2 hours. It's just a different gear. So I'm curious to see, and he'll be up for it. It's going to be great. But hats off to TK for making the call.
Bryan's always gotten high praise for his color commentary work, whether he was doing it on the indies, or I know he did it during the WWE's Cruiserweight Classic. He had some guest spots in AEW. What is it about his style of commentary that you think works so well? I know fans like it. I know Tony likes it. Is it just that he comes in with such respect? I mean, the Wrestler of the Year award in the Wrestling Observer used to be named after Ric Flair. Now it's the Ric Flair Bryan Danielson Award. So if you are one of the quote unquote sickos, you're a hardcore wrestling fan, you like that sort of thing, man, Danielson's about as good as it gets. Do you think it's just, it's not, sometimes it's not what you say, it's how you say it. And other times it's who's saying it. Do you think because he's saying it, it carries so much more weight, or is there a different approach you think about Bryan?
I'll say this. Let me think how to give it kind of a different analogy, because yes, it's who says it. Yes, it's how you say it. And I'll say it's kind of when you say it. That, you know, there are some announcers through the years, I'll just say it, they jump the gun and they tell the story before it's there, and they try to be ahead of the curve, and that's you know, timing everything. Well, I tell you what, Toby Keith, buddy, I would have you know, maybe a late night conversation, Conrad, when I didn't mind digging in, and maybe a couple of 11 or 12 rum and Dr. Peppers. But no, I asked him one time and then followed up on it about songwriting. And he was in his old Oklahoma drawl. You know, anybody can write a song, and there are folks that can, you know, write with emotion and write just all, I mean, you can put all the ingredients, and we're kind of talking about the same thing here. But I'm going to say that what Toby, a unbelievable singer-songwriter, his stats go so deep, and there's others, but man, there's really only one Toby, and you can say that a bunch of people, maybe in the entertainment business, they're just unique. I think Bryan is unique as well. He'll know when to say it, where to say it, how to say it, and it's him saying it. But I think most importantly, I think this is what sets him apart from so many of, as far as his in-ring work, Conrad, is, I'm going to say, as it relates to a wrestling, I think our wrestling audience can understand this, it's his psychology. He will think through, and it's a natural, innate that he developed. You know, he graduated high school, and that night he was in a car driving to San Antonio, Texas to get into wrestling school. Those kind of miles and commitment and focus on the industry. So stuff like this just doesn't happen overnight. You know, Toby's band, the Easy Money band, you know, they had been playing in bars and nightclubs and running up and down the roads long before Toby's career, you know, exploded. And then they had the 20-something year run. No, more than that, 30-year run. That being said, I think Bryan, that's where he's at, in that this kind of psychology, it doesn't come just off the cuff. I think he has a unique mindset on laying things out. And I think that is I think that's the tool in the toolbox that will differentiate him from anybody else. I mean, a Jim Ross, I think when he really got into it, he did his best, no matter how he's calling Mick Foley getting hit with the chair. At the end of the day, Jim had a sports call to it. And that's why, you know, he's used across all genres, no matter what sport it is, because he had that emotion. I think Bryan will have his psychology and bring it to the table. I know that's a little long-winded, Conrad, but I think his psychology is what will set him completely apart.
What's interesting to me is that this isn't a skill set that transfers very easily. Like, I think most people listening to this would say that, hey, Jesse Ventura was a good wrestler, but boy, he was a great color commentator. And I think most people would say Superstar Billy Graham, man, he was an incredible promo, but maybe not the best guy on commentary. I mean, it really is a unique skill set. It's not, there's no, what I like to call football math or MMA math, where you're like, well, this team beat that team, so they can definitely beat. That doesn't work in sports. And I don't think it works in this. Like, hey, Superstar was a great promo. Maybe not the best at commentary. It is a different thing.
Oh, because of the length, and that goes into the psychology. That's why, you know, Lawler, I mean, his career, when you really drill it down, it's unfreaking believable because of his, and I'm going to go into his artistic ability as a heel, then as a baby face, and then as kind of a citywide personality.
and then then he gets to he gets to WWF at the time, and he was a heel persona and the Bret Hart and all that kind of stuff, and he got over with the microphone, but as a heel wrestler, and then he transitioned, and then him and Ross's chemistry for all those years, and I'm echoing your point. It doesn't always translate. I mean, there's been some guys that have come over from the sporting world that were really good in the sporting world that have just laid an egg in wrestling. It just happens. So I think it's going to be great for the product.
It's funny that you mentioned Lawler, because I know, when you were making like your Mount Rushmore, he's going to be number one on your list every time. And I feel like a lot of other people would probably throw him up there had they seen more of his work.
Yeah. Oh,
and had his in-ring stuff gone national, like if he had the WWF Vince machine, like
it's a different era.
Yeah. But I'm saying if Vince had decided he was going to go national and call it the mid 70s instead of the mid 80s, you got to think Lawler would have been an even bigger household name than he is now. And somebody who knows that quite well is Bryan Danielson. He was out doing some promoting for the Australian tour that you guys have coming up. And one of the things he did was he recommended older wrestling for fans to check out. And he included the 1985 version of Jerry Lawler versus Bill Dundee in a loser leaves town match. That's the one that was built around Lawler having a bad eye, and it kicked off the storyline that ultimately climaxed with the introduction of the Jeff Jarrett character a few months later. You saw a lot of these up close and personal. You saw even more on tape. If you were to recommend a Lawler-Dundee match to someone who has heard your praise here before, but they've not actually seen the match, would that be the one, or is there a different match that you would recommend for folks to check out?
Jeez. So Brian, he highlighted that, huh? That's interesting.
He did.
And the 85 one, which is interesting, but I'm going to go the hair match when Dundee lost his hair. And it's hard to really pick one, and you want just a Lawler-Dundee, because Lawler Idol, Lawler-Dundee, Lawler Dutch. There was a clip recently online of Alan on X, very fascinating follow, that go watch a Jackie Fargo punch, and then go watch a Jerry Lawler punch, and then maybe I'll say this diplomatically, go watch a Jeff punch. Just kind of but I'd say the 81, 82 Lawler-Dundee matches, they just beat the shit out of each other. And I'll say there was maybe I'm too biased and too behind the scenes, and there was such a hunger and a uniqueness, and Lawler coming off the broken leg. Oh boy, that gets me to thinking, Connie. I don't know. It's hard to name one, but because again, Conrad, in my mind, and that's why I do have kind of a different lens at different times. We can all point to Shawn Razor ladder match at Mania, or this SummerSlam match, or this All Out match, or All In, or Revolution, or whatever it may be, a specific match. In the territory days, they worked on Monday in this territory, Monday, and then the same, essentially, maybe not a hair match, but then they had the same type match the following Saturday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. So 4 at a time. And so I always look at the chemistry in the series of matches they had. So I'll go 81, 82 Lawler-Dundee.
Well, something you can never go wrong with is Factor. Make this your best season yet with nutritious 2-minute meals from Factor. Eating well has never been this easy. Just heat up and enjoy, giving you more time to do what you want. Get outside instead of prepping and cooking indoors. Factor meals arrives fresh and ready to eat. Perfect for any active lifestyle. With 45 weekly menu options, you can pick gourmet meals that fit your goals. Choose from Calorie Smart, Protein Plus, Keto, and more. Factor powers your day with satisfying breakfasts, on-the-go lunches, premium dinners, and guilt-free snacks and desserts. It's easy to savor more this spring. Factor meals pack in the flavor with none of the fuss. Get started right now at factormeals.com/myworld50off and use the code myworld50off. You'll get 50% off plus free shipping on your first box. That's code myworld50off at factormeals.com/myworld50off for 50% off plus free shipping. Jeff, Factor is great. I had some this past weekend around the lake. The wife and I threw some in the microwave, heated them up, went outside and ate on the patio. Man, the weather's great right now. And I would have much rather just been out there enjoying it instead of flipping the grill around or anything. I was a big fan of this. What are you doing with Factor these days?
Oh, Conrad, I'm going to give you an answer that has become part of my standard answer. Guy in the gym walks up. This has happened more than you could imagine. Hey, Jeff, man, you look great. What are all of you doing? Can you just kind of give me a few tips? And the guy recently said, Jeff, he walked up really direct. Can you give me your 5 tips? I went, oh, 5. Okay. And I said, sleep, routine. You have to change up your workouts. You sleep, change up your workouts. You can't. To me, you got to go at least 6 or 7 days a week. And you know what I threw in there, Conrad? I said Factor meals because it's so easy. You can meal prep all you want, but if you've got a wife and 5 kids and multiple businesses and jobs and stay busy on this, it's impossible to do. But if you have the ability to go to the fridge and pull out a Factor meal, and you know you're going to get good, clean protein, veggies in 2 minutes, and you're literally going to be done with the whole thinking and eating process in under 15 minutes. You can't go wrong. So I contribute Factor meals as a staple of the Last Outlaws fitness success. I'll say that.
Factormeals.com/myworld50off, and be sure to use the code myworld50off. I guess I'm going to do a shameless plug right here, Jeff. I can't help myself. But over the weekend, man, I was so happy for him. A friend of mine, and I know he's become a friend of yours, who Bryan Danielson recently called the best independent wrestler in the United States.
What?
Show Adam Priest recently got his first taste of AEW TV. Now, you've probably seen him on the program before, but this was a little different. You know, recently he was teaming with JD Drake in a losing effort against FTR on Collision. And then on Dynamite, he got into a little pull apart brawl with Adam Copeland and Christian Cage and FTR, and the whole Ring of Honor locker room was separating them. And that gave Priest an opportunity to get a little revenge on Dax Harwood from the previous Saturday. And that led to Dax issuing a challenge. And then on this past week's Collision, Adam Priest had to find a partner, and find one he did. The nephew of the Dynamite Kid, Tommy Billington, decided to tag with Adam Priest. They had a barn burner match with FTR. I don't think there's been any official reports that Adam Priest is even under contract to AEW, but certainly looks like maybe it's heading in that direction if he's been given promo time and he's getting some storylines. I mean, he's having matches on TV in prime time. I think this is a big deal from a Southern indie guy, because Jeff, you and I have talked about this before. Like, there are hubs where you can really get attention. I'm talking about the Northeast and other areas, but it feels like a guy from Alabama or Tennessee or Georgia or Mississippi, sometimes they struggle to get spotlight on the national scene. Adam Priest has seemingly done it. I wanted you to speak, because I know we got a lot of great feedback last week about the character work and how to get yourself over and how to establish that. I heard from independent wrestlers all over the world, including Matt Cardona, who said, hey, if you don't listen to me, listen to Jeff Jarrett. So I wanted you to sort of piggyback and pick up our conversation from last week. Why do you think Adam Priest, after all these years of having a reputation on the Southern Indies as being one of the best, is finally getting his flowers in AEW?
Why is he finally getting his flowers?
Well, is there any advice you can give anyone listening to this who says, hey, how did he get there? I want to get there, because I know that we talked last week, and Adam Priest has in large part portrayed mostly heel, probably because he's a piece of shit in real life, but that's a story for another day. But I'm just saying, like, I know that standing out as a heel is something we discussed last week. How do you get noticed as a heel? And you referenced social media, and we had an in-depth conversation that I think a lot of people paid attention to. And then right before our eyes, here's a guy who's doing exactly what we talked about in terms of he was on the independents and now he's on TV. That's the leap a lot of people, like another friend of our show, Big Ben Bishop. I know he was hopeful that he was going to get a look at the WWE tryouts, and for whatever reason it didn't work out. But are there any more Double J nuggets you can pass along as we're seeing some of these guys start to climb the ladder a little bit?
Well, I was about to answer my own question. Like now, why did Adam go from, and I do like, but also almost dislike Southern Indy because it kind of brushes him. But if there is one guy that has a Bama Southern draw that has, I'll just say it, the it factor, got the glue on him. He just needed an opportunity, but getting an opportunity, I go back to the simple definition that the basketball coach told me way back. What's the definition of lucky? Oh, that is when preparation meets opportunity.
Yeah,
and a couple of years ago, that was 3 years ago at Chicago All Out. We'd come back from Wembley. We needed somebody to get thrown through a table. Satnam Singh walked out on stage. Who did he grab around the throat? Not stretched, not ready, not nothing. But Adam took a choke slam through a table at an event. And I'm highlighting this because you have to, and people hate this word nowadays, but I kind of ingrain it as much as I can without pushing it too far, because I have pushed my kids too far at times, is that you got to go through the grind. And I'll tell you another story that to me almost is in a very much, when you just said this, kind of a microcosm. It was about, I don't know, 6, 7, 8 months ago, Pro Wrestling Entertainment. Jason James used to be, I'll call it Don West protege, but I've worked with Jason off and on. He's helped me, been one of my right-hand men for years, but he runs shows around here over in Ashland City. And Adam drove up, got a speeding ticket, but got out of it. That's a whole nother story. But
he name dropped Double J,
which I think I love to,
which is one of the best Double J stories of all time. So let me tell the backstory here. Adam's on his way to an indie show where Jeff is on the show, friend of Jason's. So everybody's, Adam's trying to climb the ladder. You're trying to do your buddy a solid. The red and blues light Adam up. He gets pulled over. Where are you headed to? Sir, I'm sorry. I'm lost. I'm turned around. I don't want to be late for this wrestling show I'm booked on. Oh, are you a wrestler? Yes, sir. You wrestling anybody I know? Well, Jeff Jarrett's on the card. You know Jeff Jarrett? The guy in his uniform does a strut by the car, throws up the 2 fingers, lets him off with a warning. Let that be a lesson to you. If you're an independent wrestler driving through Tennessee, there's a chance Double J's talked his way out of a ticket. By all means, bring him up. Oh, he's going to beat me clean in the middle with a figure 4. Ain't he great? I mean, just lay it on thick.
That dumbass Alabama kid with speed. But no, my point being, I was going to tell the story. So 7-match card. Jason always has a hell of a card. Adam walked out. He just tore the house down. And I know folks at these shows been coming, some of them been coming off and on for years, but he walks up and goes, "Damn, Jeff, who is this kid?" And I look at him and I said, "Well, before I answer, tell me what you're thinking." He's like, "Son of a bitch, why have I not seen him? I kind of pride myself on knowing specifically independent scene and all this. I hadn't seen him." And I said, "Well, I'm glad. What do you think?" He said, "Well, I got to ask you, what the hell's he not doing on TV?" And I'm like,
right,
okay, keep talking. And I just like, but he finished. So we're talking, and what did you like about him, and this and that. And he's like, "Hey man, no disrespect, but you can just tell he knows how to work with the people. He's young, he's athletic." Jesus, Jeff, he came off the top 3 or 4 times during his match. You ain't going to see that. He just kept gloating and kept going. And then he just kind of looked at me and said, "All due respect, Southern boys just know how to get it done." And I said, "Well, that's interesting you say that. And I don't want this to come across as bias, because A, it is, but B, there is a certain aura of understanding, and people say, oh, that's that Southern style. Well, I get that, but you also learn how to have crowd engagement, the walking and talking part. And anybody will tell you anywhere in the world that, yes, you got to have the high spots and connecting it all together, but you also got to have to know how to connect with the audience. And if you did see Collision this past weekend and Adam was in the role of a babyface, to me, the cameramen probably soaked it up because they know what they're doing, but you got to zoom in and Adam selling. And to me, out of the four, FTR, Dynamite, Billingsley, and Priest, story told, but at the end of the day, there was immediate sympathy. Shout out Dax, Cash, they knew what they were doing. But I just got to give Adam a lot of credit because just look, he's fresh. He's not really a baby face, but he just knows what to do. And back to the fan, I call him the fan, but Buddy that was at that independent show 6 months ago, he was saying exactly what I'm saying right now without really knowing how to articulate it, that, hey man, this guy's got it. He was a star on this show that jumped off the page at him, so much so he had to come up and come tell me that's what, to me, there's so much knowledge in the fact that a longtime fan gets out of his seat, comes over, not to say, and I'd already seen the guy at the meet and greet, the VIP meet and greet earlier in the night. I'd already seen him, talked to him, we called up and all that, but he gets out of his seat, comes over because I'm watching the matches at the curtain. And Conrad, that's when you just kind of know, and I'm sure you'll have any kind of sales or mortgage story and all that. But when a fan gets up, comes over, shares that, look, Adam, he don't know Adam. That's when you go, okay, there is something unique here that this guy, wrestling fan, longtime wrestling fan, saw. So if a longtime wrestling fan sees it, you know he's going to jump off the page. So yeah, that's Adam. I did, Conrad, so much feedback from last week, which was very, very cool. And it's such a moving target. I had a conversation at the wedding the other night, kind of specifically about the role of social media. And I said, in guys' careers, and I said, it's an ever evolving, ever changing process. But at the end of the day, it is, to me, by far, and roll it all under, Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, TikTok, put it all in one. It is by far the most valuable tool a talent has today, by far.
I do want to ask you, what are some of those intangibles? You said, hey, it took a fan, got up out of his seat and came over and talked to me a second time. What do you think? What are the little nuances? Because I do think that's what we're talking about. Is it's 2 millimeters adjusting. So if there's an independent wrestler who's listening right now, he can get 2 millimeters better, one way or another, and it might make all the difference in the world. What are some of those little intangibles? And I'm not saying this needs to be all about Adam Pearce.
I got it, Connie.
Okay.
This is why you're a hell of a podcaster, because you said the little bitty things. Oh boy. If my old man was right here, he would kick me out of the seat, Conrad. He'd sit down. He'd fumble for about 30 seconds, figured out how to put headsets on. And then he'd go, Conrad, can you hear me? I got to take, no, but he was, anal. Lawler too, some other guys, but don't be sloppy in the ring. Do not be sloppy. Don't throw a shitty punch. Don't throw a shitty elbow. Don't do anything that's not snug. Do it crisp. Adam, his athletic ability is something, and I'm not. I don't want to just focus on Adam, but he's
right.
But the guys that are really, and I don't want to say just good workers, but you've got to be aggressive. You got to be crisp. You got to have everything tight. Don't do anything. And some people will throw these talent will do things. Oh, that's a transition, or that's just a rest hold. That is the dumbest words in a rest hold. Well, who's resting, you or him? Like, what the? That is just, to me, so nauseating. Like, you're going to get in a rest hold by you calling it rest hold, I'm calling bullshit on you to begin with. But boy, I'm getting you kind of ready to get on my soapbox. But you said the 2 millimeter. Don't be sloppy. Everything you need to do, and I mean everything, from the time you come through the curtain to the time you walk back through it, you need to think through it, and you need to be thinking to yourself, I've got to present myself in the highest quality that I possibly can. That is the mindset that I don't think people really digest that.
I had a conversation with a television wrestler. I'm not going to pretend it's a top guy. It's not, but it's a television wrestler that you see on TV pretty regularly in 2025. And he made a passing comment to me that we were at a show one day, and you could see there were young guys who were getting their opportunity, and they were spending a lot of time thinking about what combinations of moves they should show off and all that sort of thing. And I get that. And I get that everybody wants to put their best foot forward. But this fellow turned to me and he said, I hadn't figured it out yet. And I said, what do you mean? And he goes, well, they've got an incredible list of things they think they can do and that they've done before, but really they just need to be a master at like 3 things. And if they have those 3 things perfect, they can get booked on TV every week. Now, the person who's telling me this is someone who's booked on TV pretty regularly. They're not always on the upside. They're not necessarily winning a bunch of championship gold, but they're making a full-time living as a television wrestler who's like, you just need 3 things that you do really, really well. And the example he gave me was like a drop kick. Now we all know, hell, there's probably 40 different ways you can throw a drop kick, but if you know you got a damn good drop kick and every version of it, just master that. And there's one, and then you've got 2 others. Now I'm not talking about all the little stuff in between, but I'm saying actual moves, things you can do that might be gift worthy or clip worthy, or somebody's going to say, damn, did you see that drop kick? Man, he's got a good so-and-so. And I know Lawler was known for his punches. You were known for your punches, and you were very humble in saying that earlier, but do you think he's on to something that, rather than having like, cause if we think about it from like a menu perspective, Jeff, if you and I go into a restaurant and there's a 40-page menu, it's probably not going to be very good. But if we go into a restaurant and they got like 8 things, which combination of these 8 do you want? In and out comes to mind. They've got a really tiny menu, but man, they're just hammering revenue because they've got this lane and they do it really, really well. Does that apply to wrestling as well?
Oh boy. If Scott Hall was with us, he'd say, Connie, preach. The era of TV. Now, to give up, man, we're getting into some kind of cool stuff here. The territory days, when you're having to perform in front of the Louisville Gardens crowd every Tuesday night, you better know a variation of different things to kind of put it all together. But when we anyway, the 90s of WWF, I think in a way became into that. And yes, there was TV era and the enhancement matches and everything that went with the 80s and the Hulkamania and all that. But the shorter answer is you got to have kind of 3 signature moves that you can do that the people, it becomes into it becomes part of your DNA of who you are, and it's very, very relatable. It's Scott, that's where I lost my train of thought there for a minute, but Scott and Kev back in the day, or Sean or whatever, but it's like, hey man, let's play the hits and then kind of figure out how to go home. And that was a simple way of saying, let's do the 3 or 4 things that the people are in tune with and accustomed to is. And see, that goes into a much, much, much bigger conversation, Conrad, in that, and now it's even more just because the way society is that, you can't have the same match every week. I'm not saying that, but people got dialed into, they've seen that. No, you've seen it. For the majority, the other folks haven't. I mean, it in that goes in every generation in that, in your mind, I got to do something different. I got to do this. No, just what Conrad just said. Do 3 or 4 things really good. And the way you get in and out of them can change multiple different ways. That's what makes it different. But get your signature spots down and
I mean, shoot, we're talking about Bryan Danielson, the yes kicks, the high knee. I mean, you can really take different, Scott Hall, he did the arm. I mean, we could go on and on and on and on. And I'm not talking about just the finish. I'm talking about your kind of your skill set of your offense. It becomes part of signature. It becomes part of the character. And that is the end of the day. People want to know you. How they're going to know you? Promo style, in-ring style, signature moves.
It's fascinating. I love this discussion as we're talking about the little nuances. Circling back, and we'll put a button on this with Adam. How much do you think having Bryan Danielson's endorsement has helped Adam's career, at least with Tony Khan? Like, knowing the relationship that they have, I almost wonder how much of success in wrestling is how good you are versus who's willing to vouch for you. Does that make sense?
And look, it damn sure ain't gonna hurt at all. But I think timing of when it's said, where it's said, how it's said, it all kind of goes together. But at the end of the day, and Conrad, we've all been down this road. The we'll call it the buddy system, and put this guy or that or this. Bryan truly sees something in the kid. There's no doubt about. And the way he sees something is, if you have a trained eye, yes, I do. Yes, Bryan does. And there's several other folks who do, but you can tell, and this sounds so silly, but you can just tell within seconds. Yep. He's been in the ring a few times. That just doesn't happen overnight. It doesn't. And then there's some guys you go, wait, he's only been wrestling X amount of long. Wow. Okay. Let me see him in this environment. And so that, all this, but yes, it definitely helps, but I'm going to go back to, and I've said it multiple times, because I get more people coming up to me and kind of the resurgence of TNA and this and that and all this kind of stuff. And I just think, man, oh man. Yeah. AJ, Joe, we could go through that whole list, but then the other day, who is the real lucky one? Me. The amount of talent we had in there that went on to where they at. And it's how much work a guy wants to put in. It all comes back to the man in the mirror, period. Every single bit of it. It comes back to so if you aren't happy in your career, maybe if we are putting a button on this, if you're independent, let me just back out of this. Wherever you're at in life, if you're unhappy with your circumstance right now, look no further than the man in the mirror. Change that person, and then you will be a much happier and a more successful person.
By the way, Jeff Jarrett practices what he preaches. We've had that exact conversation with each other in our private time about one another multiple times. And Jeff, there is a section of internet wrestling fans who've decided that they don't like me or my style of podcasting because I'm not often negative. And I understand where that comes from, but if I'm honest with you, I don't know that you and I have ever talked about this. I had a little bit of, I don't know, as we may say in the South, a come to Jesus meeting with myself years ago, because it was just me in a room off of my garage talking into a microphone similar to this with Bruce Pritchard. And he, had his opinions about people. And at that point, he thought he was never going back to wrestling. So why not just let it rip, Tater Chip? And one of the people that he had an issue with because of some personal stuff that had happened was your dad. And so early and often he would mock your dad's voice and do the silly impressions and talk about the chicken salad and all that. And I'm just thinking, hey man, this is fun radio and it's entertaining and he does good impressions. Nobody's taking it too seriously. Who cares? But then I saw the world sort of adopt it. And I didn't like the idea that, hey, wait a minute. People might actually be taking our joke and thinking that that is really the way Mr. Jarrett should be framed. And that may have been Bruce's experience, but it sort of erased the opportunity for people, or dismissed the opportunity for people really learn about how impactful your dad really was in wrestling, which is why I jumped at the chance to go to your dad's house and sit with him and interview him, because I wanted to have it on the record what his real contributions were in a serious, tangible way. And I'm saying all that to say, Bryan Danielson said one nice thing about Adam Priest, and the right people heard it, and it got momentum, and now he's given opportunities. And that is the very reason I don't say anything negative about a young guy trying or gal trying to make their name. Because if we have some fun at their expense and it is good radio, but that becomes the online narrative about that person, now you've sort of imposed a glass ceiling on their potential and their career and their opportunities. And I just want to be a net positive to wrestling. I don't want to be a negative. And I know that there are other podcasters who will look right down the barrel of the camera. This person sucks. Get them off TV. And it's like, everybody sucks at first. They got to get better. You know what I mean? Like, just to immediately dismiss somebody and cut their knees out from under them. And I get your dad is a different set of circumstances. He was out of the business. He was retired. It didn't matter. But that's the reason when you and I, hey, we watch the same shows y'all do. We probably don't have a terribly different opinion about some of the stuff that you don't like. But if we get on here and use our platform and then our fan base sort of doubles down on it and it becomes a thing and it becomes a part of the show, and that can only hurt. It can't help. So I just avoid it. Does that make sense?
1,000%. And that's, me and Karen have had these conversations. I've had different conversations with, I'll say, folks that I've known in the industry a long time. I've had different conversations about, man, Jeff, it kind of amazes me when I hear you and Conrad talk about how hated you were. Like, they just didn't really know you. It just kind of all of what you just said in a big, and I didn't play, back then, I looked at the media, not with a harsh eye. It's just, I looked at them as critics doing their job, and Jeff's going to be over here doing his job. But as time has gone on, I'm circling back to the social media, the power of it, and the power to literally transform lives for the good and for the bad. In that sure, I could be super critical, and I'm going to say this due to my experience, and I'm going to say it's sometimes wisdom, but there's really no upside in any of it. None. Not, and I'm not saying for others, but for myself. Why do I want to spew poison? And if I'm spewing poison, that means poison's inside of me. So thanks. No thanks.
Well, no thanks to being a little reckless. I mean, let's be real. Owning a handgun for self-defense comes with serious responsibility. You need it secure, but also accessible when it matters most. Too often, that means choosing between locking it away or leaving it out, which means it's vulnerable to kids, guests, or intruders. And that's the problem that Stopbox USA set out to solve. And I think they nailed it with the Stopbox Pro. It's 100% mechanical, keyless, battery-free lockbox that gives you instant controlled access to your firearm. No electronics, keys, or codes required. That's right. No keys, no codes, no apps, just a patented 5-button locking system that responds only to your unique input. It's fast, intuitive, and built for muscle memory. So you're not thinking, you're reacting. And when seconds matter, that makes all the difference. With the Stopbox Pro, you don't have to trade safety for speed or peace of mind for readiness. Your firearm stays secure, but always within reach. And never worry about tariffs because everything is sourced right here in the USA. All the Stopbox products are proudly made in the United States in their own facility. This ensures the highest quality craftsmanship of every product that gets sent out, but it also creates meaningful jobs for American workers. And speaking of America, the Stopbox Pro is actually TSA compliant. And right now, for a limited time, our listeners can get 15% off at Stopbox when you use the code Jarrett. That's JARRETT at checkout. Head on over to stopboxusa.com and use the code Jarrett. That's JARRETT for 15% off your entire order. And after you purchase, they're going to ask you where you heard about them. Please support our show and tell them we sent you. Of course, I'm talking about my world. We are excited right now to be talking a little bit about Jeff's favorite wrestling venues. We're going to be doing a top 10 list. That's right. Jeff's top 10 most historic wrestling venues. Of course, we are winding down AEW's residency at the legendary, I guess we'll call it former ECW Arena. Comes to an end this week. And we wanted to check in with you. I can't believe it, but you've nearly had 40 years in this crazy wrestling business. So you've wrestled in the most iconic venues in the world. And so we're going to do a top 10. And these are the top 10 venues that Jeff has actually wrestled in. So you may have some places in your mind and think, oh, well, that should definitely be on there, but it won't be if Jeff hasn't wrestled in that venue. So let's get started with number 10.
Jesus.
Jeff, you put down the Kia Forum in Inglewood, California. Of course, longtime sports fans know this as the Los Angeles Forum or the Great Western Forum. I mean, this is where all that magic was made on the basketball court with the Los Angeles Lakers. I know you're a basketball guy, but the Forum doesn't have a rich wrestling history. Is it primarily there because of your love of basketball?
Oh, Cotty, you know me too well. And look, the top 10 wrestling venues, when I had to really think this through, because Conrad, you're right, 40 years, I've wrestled in the smallest of small to, I mean, stadiums all around the world. I was thinking through like the distances I've been from my house to Perth, Australia is about as far away as possible. I've wrestled in Perth. I've wrestled in Adelaide, City of Churches, all through Australia, Israel, Jerusalem. That I was trying to find that venue. That was a cool venue. Abu Dhabi. I mean, Conrad, it was really, really hard for me to say, all right, what are the top 10 venues in my mind that they're gonna put it out in the universe and the YouTube world? Like, this is not going to be an easy task for me because, again, my family lineage and the companies that I've worked for and all those kind of things that and there's one that I left off that I'm going to circle back to here in a little while when you pull it out of me, but there is one that I left off. But the Kia Forum, I can't tell you, I grew up a basketball fan, a junkie, loved the Boston Celtics Laker rivalry. I thought that was, to this day, it just had it had so much wrestling pizzazz because you had the showbiz, and if you're a Boston, either one of them could play the babyface role or the heel role, depending upon. But anyway, the Kia Forum, when I got a chance to crack an actor, Paul Walterhauser, the night after he won a Golden Globe, at this stage of my career, and knowing all the character and the personality and everything that kind of goes with it, Conrad, I found it hard for me not to put it on there because I toyed back and forth. I didn't have a long history in there. Nobody really did. And I think of LA Sports Arena and Anaheim Pond, and I've wrestled the Pond many, many times. And then whatever you want to call Staples, and it'll be renamed in a few years. But that's kind of the newer venue, and they're going to have more venues. And so I could go on and on about LA. It's hard to leave LA off as well when you think about wrestling cities and the population and the amount of pay-per-views and big shows and everything that go in it, go down the road to San Diego. Conrad, you can tell I wrestled with this and a lot, but I could not, because it was a very cool, very like Hollywood, City of Angels, but it's, it goes without saying. So to get an actor to crack him over the head with a guitar shot at that stage of my career, I couldn't leave Kia Forum off of it.
I do want to ask, if we take a look over at cagematch.net, I believe you debut in late 92 with the WWF, but it's very early 94, January 94, where you have your first match at the Great Western Forum, and it was with Bret Hart. And according to that website, I'm talking about cagematch.net, you got 17 minutes and 6 seconds. It was a DQ finish. Does that match stand out to you? Because I know Bret, I mean, just to level set this, in January 94, he's the top guy. I mean, Hogan's gone. He is the top guy. And here you are where the Lakers play, and you're in there with the best there is, the best there was, the best there ever will be. Does that match stand out to you?
Absolutely. And it's funny
when you got to go back in time. 93 is when my vignette started in October. They ran 12 weeks. So, beautiful Bruce produced them in the fall. Vince
December 18th is your first televised match.
Yes.
Of 93.
So they ran, I want to say beginning of October anyway, October, November, December. And then I did the enhancements. I wasn't due to start on the road, I want to say, until February, because of how just the methodical way the machine puts you out there. And we're going to put you out there and you're going to get wins. And look, at the end of the day, 94 was that, we'll call it that building year. And 95 is when they, put the ICE and that's, the trajectory up. But 94, I was Doink and just a bunch of different other things. But as far as TV went, I was just get wins. Well, Lawler got in a little trouble, and I thought it was pretty cool because Vince actually called and said, "Hey, pal, we're going to start you on the road a little early." Now, okay, yep, you got it. Can you imagine how happy I was, Conrad? I going from my paydays in Memphis, Tennessee, and all of a sudden you're going to be working main event with Brett. Where? Oh, we got this little run, and you're going to work the Forum. Then you're going to jet out to Hawaii, work that. You're going to be on the island about 16 hours and jump back on a plane and go work San Francisco. Oh, okay. Oh, no, but then you go down to San Diego. I think it's a 4-day run and all big paydays and all against Brett. And Brett, work snug and all that. Oh, wait, Brett's not beating you? That was a surprise. He was the top guy. So, yes, it does. It was in a lot of ways, you have to kind of throw in the Owen connection and kids of promoters, and he had worked with Lawler and just all of that. Conrad, it's one of those things that back then, did I have to pinch myself? Yes, but I'm just very grateful for that opportunity as I stand here today, because that was my first entry into WWE live events, is working on top with Brett.
Let's talk about your number 9. This is one I don't think I would have guessed. I've seen it called a variety of things: Arena CDMX or Mexico City Arena. This is a building that has been the home of AAA's major shows in Mexico City. This is, I guess, maybe their Madison Square Garden. Do I have that right?
Well, and you can kind of the plaza, and I get it wrong in the enunciation, how to pronounce the name and everything. But this is it's the Garden. It's the modern building. It's not a bull ring. And I just remember kind of the building blocks that AAA did and to build toward this. And I mean, that shot right there, full house, 6-sided ring, just, defending the title there. It was, when I look back on my all 40 years, to walk into that building on AAA's biggest show of the year as their champion, it is what kind of wrestling dreams, so to speak, are made for. Or made with. And again, I just kind of look at, and a lot of folks, they know my career from Double J and country music, and then they may know King of the Mountain and the TNA era and just all that kind of stuff. But my Mexico runs were up there at the very top of my career. Had a lot of fun and very successful as a box office attraction.
And I think Karen used to make appearances with you down there, and it was like the Spanish version of The Witch or something like that.
Yeah. But look, and Conan, it would be funny because kind of, this is really pull the curtain back and this and that, you got to lay out different things. And he would just kind of look at, he calls her Queen, just go do your shit. And that was literally, and Karen has that, yes, she's my wife, but she has the innate ability of timing and awareness of when to interject herself and then when not to. Just a hell of a talent. They hated her ass down there. They didn't like me either, but yeah. So she's had a lot of fun. A few times scared to death.
not just at ringside, but leaving the arena is like, what the hell have I got myself into, Jeff? We've got 5. The amount of times she's told me down there, and maybe some late nights when I'd maybe had a few after the show, she's like, Jeff, what are we doing? We've got 5 kids at home, and we're what are you doing down anyway? Mexico, a lot of fun.
The heat is what made it so special. It's a big venue too. I mean, it's a 22,000 plus seater, but I know Silva's got a big shot of it, and the way AAA shoots it, that looks like 30,000 plus in there. You've had a lot of big matches. The tag with Kurt against LA Park and Electroshock. I think Dorian's hair was on the line. There's been a lot of fun moments, and it's really just about the heat and the interaction with that crowd most of all at number 9, don't you think?
Maybe if you had to encapsulate it, and if you've got stats there, but I worked in a 4-way, I think Rich Swann, Phoenix, and I'm not sure who the third one was. It'll come to me.
Phoenix, Brian Cage, Rich Swann, and Double J. It was the AAA mega title 4-way. It happened August 25th, 2018, just a few days before the very first Starcast. How about that?
Conrad, Phoenix literally did a dive outside. I've never seen a talent go as fast and as hard. And I looked up, and he goes over my head. And who's sitting behind me? Maricela.
Oh, I love that.
Whew. Big heat, more ways than one. But yeah.
Oh, okay. I thought that was part of the show. Not part of the show.
No, sir.
Understood. Do you think it was intentional?
Not at all.
Phoenix was very apologetic.
After he had to look behind him to see if he had any ass left.
Okie dokie. Coming in at number 8 on Jeff's list of his most favorite arenas here on My World is the Louisville Gardens. And I think this is something that a lot of big fans of Memphis tapes don't even know, is that Mid-South Coliseum attendance in Memphis maybe fell off in the 90s, but that really wasn't indicative of how the rest of the territory was doing, because Nashville and especially Louisville remained much stronger well into the 90s. Why do you think Louisville loved your brand of wrestling so much?
Oh boy. Oh, Conrad, I could kind of talk at lengths on this. The TV on Wave TV was so strong, and it was a weekly staple. And you got to remember that there were certain times, because, in the 90s, Lawler, how do I say this? He went to WWF, and then early 90s, a lot of times, and I get it, stage where he was at in his career, territory kind of slipping in Memphis. It was going down, and he wasn't in the mood to drive 6 hours to Louisville, from Memphis to Louisville. And so there was a little bit up and down. Louisville and Nashville were kind of that steady Eddie. And through the years, people bought and had their reservations. I don't know, first 4 rows were sold out every week because they were standing reservations that they came to wrestling every week. And I mean, literally my grandmother, get to the building early on Tuesdays, and she literally would start writing her the tickets. So when they would come to the box office, money, give her a ticket. They were reserved seats. They reserved them every week. So it was just a real creature of habit in so many ways. And our shows, there was just something kind of about the television and the lack of, Memphis would get big shows, and then back around big shows. It was really steady Eddie. And I think that contributed to the success, that we didn't have to, what would that be? Over promise, undersell, the opposite of it. But then I'm also going to say that, Louisville Gardens, get right off 65, go down a couple of blocks, very easy to get to. Parking in and out, the price was right, everything that goes with it. But that building also, when you pull the picture back up, Dave,
that you could see. Conrad has said there's I think the aura of it. See how there's a ring light over the ring.
Yep.
And when you turn everything out, so the people, Louisville loved heat. The minute OWJ went to selling, go Jeff, go. I mean, it was an audience that was built into. They weren't afraid to scream and yell. In between matches, you don't look around and say, "Oh wow, a crowd. Is there as many people as here was last week?" Even if it was up or down, the light once the show started, lights down, great music, great sound system, and I'm saying all the little intricacies of a weekly show that you got to have that. But man, they got great shows. Here's another thing that sometimes Memphis would go long or not. Louisville, you just knew the show was over before 10 p.m. because we had to get the people out there. At school night, you got them home. Anyway. That building, I cut my teeth. I learned so many things. I really, really learned how to work in that building and that in Nashville Sports Arena in so many ways.
According to Cage Match, your first match at the Louisville Gardens was a 6-man. It was yourself, Jerry Lawler, and Tojo Yamamoto. So you're rubbing shoulders with two of the biggest stars in the territory, taking on the Pretty Young Things. Yes, that's Coco Beware and Norval Austin and Tom Branch. But you'd come back 7 years later for the WWF and wrestle Rick Martel there.
That's right.
Of course, in 93, it would be you and Brian Christopher there. In 98, it would be you and Ken Shamrock. And then later you and Steve Blackman. How different was the vibe when it was your dad's quote unquote Memphis territory versus the national opportunity of the WWF? Totally different crowd, totally different vibe, or what do you think?
So, in a shocker, Cage Match is wrong. That Lawler, the PYTs, that's Norvell and Coco and Tom Branch. That was Lawler, Jerry Jarrett, and Tojo Yamamoto. That would, and I wrestled every Tuesday. My first quote unquote match would have been against April. So it'd been April of '86 against Tony Falk. And then it's the same cadence from Memphis, but I wrestled every Tuesday night out of the 7 years, Conrad, in between a couple of car wrecks, I don't think I missed. There's a stat out there, a Louisville long time, and Jamie Dundee has a connection to the person who has all the programs. But I mean, it's way less than 10. I think it's less than 5. I didn't miss a Tuesday. I wrestled every Tuesday. And when they started coming in and you said Rick Martel is the model and Blackman in the WWF era and all that, WWF didn't draw very well at the Gardens in I call it the early days or the mid to early 90s. They just loved their Memphis wrestling, and that's what they were in tune with. Once they kind of got rolling in the Attitude Era, and went to the bigger buildings, didn't go back to the Gardens, went to Freedom Hall. But the Gardens was always that territory building that had the special kind of appeal and aura to it. The picture that we've just shown, I think that's Lex as the narcissist in there. And I mean, I think that's Lex on the right. That was how the integration, they booed the shit out of Lex, and he was a heel, but they knew they booed him as much or more as being a WWF guy as opposed to the narcissist. It was Louisville loved their USWA wrestling, like to its very, very core.
Well, I know you were not loved in Mexico City. I can't believe this is real, but at number 7, another venue in Mexico City. I'm going to take a stab at trying to pronounce this one. Gimnasio Olimpico Juan de la Barrera. It's a 5,000 seat basketball arena. It's been AAA's home for TV tapings in Mexico City since it first started back in 1992. It's one of the many arenas where Pena and AAA established a wrestling tradition because he was blocked from working with local promoters who had previously relied on CMLL or UWA talent. So it's a big venue for AAA. And I know that, man, you've had a series of matches there. I know you had one in 2014, according to Cage Match, which was Chessman, El Zorro, and Perio Aguirre Jr. and yourself against Cibernetico, Electroshock, Jack Evans, and La Parca. That was like more than 11 years ago. But even earlier this year, I guess before WWE purchased it, March 22nd, 2025, you were down there, and we actually told that story earlier this year on the pods. A lot of heat down there. What say you, Jeff?
You know, the plaza where I won Ray to Raise, the bull ring. Again, I was trying to really figure out. This is why this was a challenge for old Double J to figure out the top 10 wrestling venues. And again, I'll get to one after we name number one that could very well, little cliffhanger here, that could have slid in as the number one for me, but we'll get to that at the very end. But this was AAA's Sportatorium, AAA's Tampa Armory, AAA's whatever you want to fill in the blank, kind of their home base that they produced so much out of.
Yes.
And I can't really say that, oh, I had this. And that's why I don't look at my career as this. I haven't had 5 stars, so we'll be diplomatic, but this 4-star, whatever, these, I don't equate my career back to this match and this match and this match. No, just kind of the aura of the venue. And that's where the TV was produced. I've probably performed in there multiple times that may or may not be on Cage Match, but that's why I kind of look at this being the home base. Maybe I have, maybe I haven't, but I don't believe I ever worked in there when it wasn't sold out. And they are rocking. I mean, Conrad, that's the kind of, you've never been there, right? I don't think you have.
No, I haven't. No.
I mean, loud. Ask JBL about it. They are on fire.
Jeff, I know that you just slipped it in, and I know we're in the middle of a countdown, so I'm going to get back there, but I can't help myself because you mentioned the 5 stars. And yes, you're yet to have one 5-star match, according to Dave Meltzer and the Observer. But fingers crossed, we could get there.
I don't think we're going to get there, pal.
First, we got to get wrestling on TV again, so Dave can rate it. And then, secondly, by God, we're going to get it. But here's something I wanted you to just chuckle about, because I've asked you not too long ago, when do you think you were at your physical prime, your physical peak? When were your in-ring capabilities at your absolute physical peak? And I just want to heap some praise on you. If you take a look at all the matches that Dave Meltzer has rated for you as being 4 stars or better, he's given you that 13 times in your career. And only one of those was a WWF match.
Oh,
only one of those was a WCW match.
Stop it.
And 5 of those 13 4-star matches that you got, 4 stars or better, that you got from Dave Meltzer, 5 of the 13 were in AEW. So just saying, you and Adam Page makes the list, Brody King, Buddy Matthews, and Malachi Black against yourself, Mark Briscoe, and Jay Lethal makes the list. You and Jay against Cash and Dax makes the list. You and Danielson makes the list. And then the Casino Gauntlet from last August, that makes the list.
Wait. So, there's 2 that did me and Orange Cassidy into Winnipeg. We had a hell of a match. And then it goes without saying, I mean, the belt's right there. I know the Texas Chainsaw is a 4.999, just not a 5.
It ought to be. But just so you know, if you're keeping score at home, the 2 highest rated Jeff Jarrett matches of all time, no surprise, Shawn Michaels, July 23rd, 1995, In Your House number 2. And then it was you and Kurt Angle way back when on in 2009, TNA Genesis 09.
Okay. 4 stars.
4.5 stars.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, look at there. Fingers crossed, we're pulling for you, buddy.
Physical prime, 25 to 35 of years of age. So whatever that would have been, I would say right through there. If I feel like I could wrestle all night, high spot all night, hard rings, WWF or not hard rings.
95, 96 is what I would have picked for you.
Okay.
That's just me as a fan, but I'll tell you what, I know you feel better than ever. And some of that is because of your diet. You know, back then we didn't know what we know now, which is why you're reaching for Magic Spoon. Magic Spoon makes high protein, 0 sugar cereal and treats reinvented from your childhood. You can literally taste the nostalgia Every serving of Magic Spoon has 13 grams of protein, 0 grams of sugar, and 4 grams of net carbs. They've got all your favorite flavors too: fruity, cocoa, frosted. I've even been bragging about the high protein treats. Man, it's my absolute go-to. I love the double chocolate. It's crispy, it's crunchy, it's airy. It's an easy way to get 12 grams of protein on the go. They've got great flavors too, not just dark chocolate and double chocolate, but how about marshmallow and chocolatey peanut butter? They're great on the go for your pre or post workout or just a midnight snack. And right now you can get $5 off your next order at magicspoon.com/myworld, or look for Magic Spoon on Amazon or in your nearest grocery store. That's magicspoon.com/myworld for $5 off. Let's get back to our top 10 favorite venues of Double J. And coming in at number 6 is the Boston Garden. The original one closed in 1995. We're not talking about TD Garden. We're talking about the ones that, man, we saw Randy Savage and Tito Santana in. The ones that Bruce used to say you could see the walls sweat. I mean, this was an old school venue. What was it about the Boston Garden that stood out to you, Jeff?
I'm going to go back to, I know people, wrestling fans, like, this son of a bitch likes venues because he watched basketball. But no, the home of Larry Bird, the Birdman. But that is secondary. Yes, it was hot. The kind of the aura and the character. I remember driving up to the back of the venue and you're going over these wood slats and it's, I mean, it sounds so loud and all, but I was like, oh man, here we are in Boston. But I got the opportunity. And that's why it always kind of rings in my head. I don't take light of these kind of moments, if you will, that were just really special to me. I was in the very last Boston Garden show. And when I think through, you know, the McMahon, and there were local Boston promoters, but, you know, Vince started out promoting in the Cape Cod area and the tent towns and everything went with it. But Vince Sr. and the Boston Garden, and I mean, superstar Billy Graham, Bruno, me and my father had conversations. I can remember him asking about this and maybe a couple of years after it, or maybe right after that. I'm like, hey man, me and Scott Hall got to have a ladder match in this venue on the last card, and the card was stacked and they recognized some legends that night. And I'll never forget bumping out of the ring and going over by the railing. And that's why, you know, nowadays you're kind of blocked, but I'm down at a bike rail, you know, where a fan can just reach through and touch me. And the son of a bitch takes this is what's crazy. Like a lit cigarette. Like, what the hell is this guy doing? And just said, hey, I'm going to put it on his back, and lit my ass up. They didn't like Double J there. But it just had that gritty garden feel. And I think as far as heat, that was when Double J just all of a sudden it went to another level, because I'd been there a little over a year. We talked about it earlier, but that build. By 95, the WWF universe, if you will, that audience knew who character was. They knew my hits. They absolutely knew they hated me. They freaking loved Razor, the character. Razor was super over in that building, among other places, but just the chemistry we had. And that is one of those deals that I do specifically remember the match. And just when we both walked to the ring, you knew that, okay, they came to see this.
Let's talk about that. Of course, I should briefly mention you did wrestle other times in Boston Garden. Barry Horowitz would be your opponent when you did a sort of a one-off tour with the WWF. I think it was you and Brian Christopher. That would have been October of 92. And then you would team with Shawn Michaels to take on Diesel and Racer, because let's not forget, you were an honorary Click member, well established. But the show you're talking about, the very last show at A Night to Remember, that's what it was called. It was a Boston Garden show that went down on May 13th, 1995. And it was called The Night to Remember, the last ever wrestling show that happened here with all that rich history. And what a card it was. Triple H, Hunter Hearst Helmsley was the opening match against Phil Apollo, who I know at different times portrayed Doink. There was a tag team match with Jimmy Del Rey and Tom Pritchard, the Heavenly Bodies. They were managed by Tony Gurria that night, and they picked up a win over the Bushwhackers. Man Mountain Rock wrestled Quang, Savio Vega, with Harvey Whippleman there. There was a singles match with the Roadie picking up a win over Bob Holly. Brett and the British Bulldog beat Hakushi and Jerry Lawler in a tag team match.
Wow.
And then an Intercontinental title ladder match. You picked up a win over Razor Ramon in 10.5 minutes. The show would keep going. The Blue Twins with Uncle Zebekiah. Those are your Nashville buddies, and Dutch Mantel got a win over the Head Shrinkers with Captain Lou. The Undertaker would beat Kama with Ted DiBiase in his corner. Bam Bam Bigelow had Chief Jay Strongbow come out with him to take on Tatanka with Ted DiBiase in his corner. And in the main event, Diesel and Sid with Ted DiBiase. This is not a banner year revenue wise, but I love that it holds such a special place in your memory that it came in at number 6, the Boston Garden. We'll talk about number 5 next, the Royal Albert Hall in London, which is pretty cool. This is a regular stop during the heyday of British wrestling on ITV. It was a major arena in London. The WWF has ran shows there. WCW's ran shows there. I think you had a 1994 match against Coco Beware there, but it's such a unique look. If you're watching with us on YouTube at myworldpod.com, you know what I'm talking about. It's not a ton of seats, but man, it just looks so impressive. And there's this big organ that's like a permanent fixture of the building. This feels like a special occasion of some sort, does it not? I mean, this looks like a movie set, Jeff.
You know, and this is 94. And a lot of people, you boy, Conrad, you ain't kidding. It was a down year. But when you kind of look back on history, and I think a lot of ways, I think the bottom was 92 or 93. You may have covered it, all that. But I believe because there was a time that we'll call it that, new generation era, that Vince to kind of hold things down, Pittsburgh, Boston, Baltimore, all 3 venues in New York, Nassau, the Jersey, and the Garden, Boston Garden, LA Pond. There was about, 10 or 12, 15 venues that Vince went in and signed. I want to say some buildings 3. So that means we were in there every 4 months. Others were every 3 months. And that was building contracts and building bases. And then he would fill shows around that, basically to keep the product going and all that. But if you kind of look at the houses from, I'll call it 94 to 96, and then of course, Austin and 316 and things exploded. But I think a lot of the building blocks were put in place because it was coming off of the steroid era and Hogan and all of that run and all that. And the monumental shift from, Hogan to Brett, if you will, that when the in-ring product, it took a little bit more priority. But as the things were rolling, that's how I've always kind of viewed it, that no, we were far from setting box office records, but the business started ticking up during that time frame in a real positive way. And Royal Albert Hall, Conrad, does it say, I don't know if it's a cage match or maybe we have to Google it, what year this venue was built? Because I kind of remember getting off the bus, the in and out of the building, the kind of the prestige. And look, I'm super young, impressionable, and you're in a foreign country and you're hearing the Brits talk and all the security they had. I don't say on every door, but every in and out. And I remember Owen would, he would make jokes about, hey, who's sitting in the Queen's box tonight? With all due respect, Owen's kind of offhand humor. You're like, what the hell is he talking about? He said, yeah, where they're sitting up here. It just Owen and his, but anyway, to get to perform in, I'll call it a very prestigious venue like Royal Albert Hall, because of not the wrestling lineage, but I'll just say the country's lineage, I just think it was very, very unique. And I just remember all the, maybe not so much me and Coco's match. I'm just saying the ins and the outs on one of my first international tours as well. I thought it was really cool.
You asked when that building was built. They laid the foundation in 1867 and they completed construction in 1871.
Okay.
Royal Albert Hall comes in at number 5 on Jeff's favorite venues.
That's
Number
so that's got to be the oldest building I've ever worked. Got to, yeah. Is there anything? Got to be the oldest building, right? 1870.
I mean, you think for sure.
All right, cool.
I mean, I'm not saying that to be funny, but maybe some of those bullfighting arenas in Mexico or something.
Ooh,
I'm just saying that sounds old.
yeah.
Because it's outdoors, right?
Well, no, it's got a dome.
Oh, okay. Well, I don't know. Don't get hot.
Yeah.
Hey, number 4 on your list is of your favorite wrestling venues that you've wrestled in. No surprise here. The Dallas Sportatorium, somewhere upon water. Dave is so proud.
Yeah.
Old school Von Erich fans and world class fans know this. This was their ECW arena, if you will. You know, this is the most surface level, I guess, unassuming, because we all know that this is a historic venue, but really, much like the old ECW arena, it's not all that nice. It's not like the Royal Albert Hall. This is an uninsulated tin shed that was built for jamborees around riser seats, and there's a semi-permanent stage in the middle that held the ring. I mean, people who look back at this fondly are fans, the guys who wrestled in it. Well, they didn't always love it, but why does it hold a special place for you?
Conrad, we could do an entire podcast on the Sportatorium, its history, the ins and outs. I was very, very respectful when I first went out there in 87 or 88. But, you know, Conrad, and I know in your career, way back when you decided to get into mortgages and hit this, and there was kind of I'm sure any young man that when you take a jump in pay, that could be significant, it just holds a special place in my heart. Memphis, I toiled and I grinded, and the good part is, in Memphis, I was the promoter's kid. The worst part about it, I was the promoter's kid. So my pay, just all those kind of, it came with life. I'm very grateful. When we went out to Dallas and got into business, and my dad took majority control and really drilled down, that's the first opportunity I really had to make a bump in pay. And that came from the syndication. But the syndication was all done at the Sportatorium, and the ability and my old man's business savvy and thinking it through, and Eric Embry booking, and he's letting me help contribute in this and that, and just everything that goes with it. But then the syndication, and he made the deal to pivot to, hey, we're going to start shooting TV here on Saturday mornings, let the people in free and make the money off the concessions. And then that show is going to go to Channel 11 that night, and business picked up. And then Friday nights went from good to really good to sellouts, and the business was rolling, and those shows were filmed for syndication, and syndication was exploding in 89, 90, and the ESPN deal and everything that goes with it. And I just look at not just inside the ring, but outside the ring as a young businessman. Not only did it was my first opportunity at good to great money, it gave me a real sense of, okay, this goes to a whole nother level. I mean, picture money on Friday nights, Conrad, was not just good. It was freaking great. Saturday morning, not just good. It was great because you had a lot of people. But the understanding, man, Max Andrews and the syndication, and oh man, Keith Mitchell and others, and just I could go on and on, kind of the lineage of the Sportatorium. But that venue is where it was the Mecca. People may chuckle at that, but it was where a lot of history. You go back and look at all the angles that were shot with Flair, Brody. I mean, on and on. Podwater would be a much better reciter of that. But the Von Erichs, and it was just a shitload of history. But that was where I think was my first step into I guess you could say my business experience in the industry.
Coming in at number 3, no surprise, this is probably on a lot of folks' lists, Madison Square Garden, the most famous arena in the world, right in New York City. I mean, there's been so many monumental shows here, not just the WWF, but certainly the New Japan Ring of Honor show from a handful of years ago. I mean, any entertainer, it's a big deal when they get their first opportunity to play the Garden. Why does this one make your list at number 3, Jeff?
I mean, I could say that there's so many different reasons, but it is New York City, the Mecca, however you slice and dice it. But when you work a main event in MSG and then have, a promoter take you out to big steak dinner afterwards and just gloat over the performance. And I mean, look, me and I think I've got 2 main events there, but it's just a special. But when you go back and look at the history, hell, I'm not even getting it out, but go look up Bruno Sammartino's stats. It's almost unfathomable to really sink in the historical significance of MSG, and I'll call it the old New York territory, like the Sportatorium, like the gym in Mexico, like Korakuen Hall, because I wrestled with putting different Japanese, the stadium over there in a lot of ways. Anyway, I could go off on this, but MSG, I think if you've worked in there on any significant level, it's got to be in your top 10. I wrestled with this on the listing. Should I put it at 5 or 8 or 3 or 2? I didn't know really where to put it. This was really hard for me as well to rank 1 through 10 in so many different ways. But the match with me and Sean with Road Dogg in our corner against Razor, I call them Razor and Diesel in this. One of my favorite series of matches of all time, and how we delivered in so many ways. And the 5 of us, in a lot of ways, the most charismatic guy in the match was on the apron where it was on outside. I just can't say enough about that memory. It was just a hell of a match. And that place, every time I went out, New York City loved him some Double J.
Let's mention that match in particular was March 19th, 1995. It went 18 minutes and 14 seconds. Diesel and Razor got the win by count out. But what a special match it was. I mean, for all these years later, it to stick out to you, it had to be pretty good. Maybe that would have been the one that Meltzer gave you 5 stars for.
Okay. If he would have seen it, there is no doubt in my mind. And I say that tongue in cheek, but then I don't. I think he would have because I do believe it was really, really good. But also, I cannot go without saying this in that, like the Louisville Gardens, not only did the venue and the cards and the arena have its own aura, but I'll say the fans did as well. And Vlad, long time Garden. I don't know that he's missed. I mean, I know he had a run he never missed a Garden show. And Vlad loved to hate Double J. We did a cool little intimate thing on a couple of different documentaries over the last couple of years. But in a lot of ways, his beef with me helped me more than he'll ever know, because he lit me up every time I went out. But those buildings with those characters are, a fan will leave there. If it's the first time in the venue, they will leave remembering the interaction between wrestler and fan much more than any kind of high spot or finish. And I say that with all due respect, because it's the essence of what we do. It's the fan engagement, the talent interacting with the fan, and people feeling that electricity. That's what people makes you feel.
We want to mention your first match in Madison Square Garden. According to Cage Match, you've had at least 18. It was an Intercontinental title match with Razor Ramon. You did a Royal Rumble match there later in 94. You wrestled Doink, Sparky Plug. You tagged with Bigelow against Doink and Mabel. Another match with Razor, a match with Diesel for the world title, that tag match that we just bragged about. You worked with Adam Bomb there and Ahmed Johnson and Steve Blackman. You even lost your hair at SummerSlam 98 versus Sean Waltman. We got a European title match, a European title guitar on a pole match. a tag team title match, a 3-way tag team title match.
Wow.
I mean, you've done it all, from D'Lo to Ken Shamrock to the New Age Outlaws to tagging with Owen against Edge and Gangrel. You worked with Godfather and Val Venus. Like, it's easy to see why Madison Square Garden makes the list for you. Number 2, I'm surprised it's number 2. I thought for sure it would be number 1. And when we're talking about Jeff's favorite wrestling venues that he wrestled in, Mid-South Coliseum in Memphis, certainly the Showpiece Arena in your dad's territory, especially after he split from Nick Goulas. I mean, this was the Memphis territory's Madison Square Garden. This was the big venue. Why does this one make the list for you?
Well, you kind of, you hit the nail on the head. I'm trying to think how to put this. So, Conrad, when I was going through the list, and I gave this a lot more thought, maybe than I should have, but I want to do what's best. I really care about the pod and want to give absolutely all I can to it. So I wrestled with where to place them and where to do all this kind of stuff. I really did. But when I really started thinking about the Mid-South Coliseum, I thought, okay, yes, it's the home base. Yes. I mein, me watching Flair and Coco as a kid, to this day, one of the most impressionable matches that I just, you can't go back and recreate that feeling. The Lawler matches and the Lawler comebacks and hearing them woo, and I mean, I could go on. And then whether it was Akio Sato or Robert Fuller or the Moondog matches that I had, and then me and Brett and Owen and Lawler. I mean, I could go on and on. But this is the one building, Conrad, that probably all 7 years, because it was every Monday. I've missed very, very few for 7 years, but get to the building, maybe go sell pictures, maybe not, because sometimes Mondays were difficult, but get ready, go over the match or whatever this. But Conrad, I would get butterflies in this building, and maybe it was because it's where I had my first match and I was so freaking nervous. But in the back, every time before I would go out, I would have super butterflies. Like, I don't want to say crippling, because I never had that kind, but the excitement and like, all right, man, here we go. Let's do this. That was the Mid-South Coliseum. I mean, it just was. And there's a lot of emotion that goes into that building, knowing Elvis used to slide in the back door to watch his professional wrestling. But in a lot of ways, you know, whatever year it was, 74, 5, 6, over there, you know, my dad, in some variation, I think it was him and Lawler. And this is when he was really building Lawler, but he was not only booker, but he was talent. And he had 46 of 52, or I may be off, and the historians will say, but he was in somehow, some way, him and Lawler were involved in the main event. But that building meant so much to him because of how, in a lot of ways, that was my old man's stage. First as a wrestler, then as a booker, then as an owner. And there is no Jerry Jarrett legacy without the Mid-South Coliseum. There's just not. And it really, you know, him pulling in the back gate, the empty arena match, the cage match with Lawler and Idol, and there's so many matches. I mean, Jesus, for years and years and years. But the specialty, and there's me against Bockwinkel, a world title match that I kind of slipped in the back door, and Bockwinkel, beats me clean in the middle after I missed a drop kick. But the things he taught me in the match, but how he got me over and gave me very little, but just his psychology was unbelievable. I mean, I could go on and on and on, but I think it resonates back to me and Lawler did our through there. I think that was the match that you're seeing right there. I'm not exactly sure, but at the end of the day, the bond that the Mid-South Coliseum had with my family is why it's number 2.
I absolutely love that we're breaking down some of our favorite venues, and maybe you and your family are looking for a different venue. Well, we can help at savewithconrad.com. Take a look at this chart that come out not too long ago. It shows how many houses are listed for sale. There's more houses listed for sale than there are buyers right now than any time I've been doing mortgages. Seriously, I've been doing this for 24 years, and I'm saying that to you to right now convey you can get a better deal than you imagine. Somebody who just did that was my man Daryl from Massachusetts. He was looking to move his family from Massachusetts to Wisconsin, but this time my man wanted some land. He wanted to stretch out. Daryl came to Save with Conrad early in the process. We showed him where he stood, and when he was ready to pull the trigger, he came back. And when he said he wanted a lot of land, buddy, he wasn't kidding. Right now, after working with our team here at SaveWithConrad.com, I'm happy to say Daryl has a home on 20 acres. Roll title net. Go right now to SaveWithConrad.com. Let my team run the numbers for you. Get pre-approved today. As a reminder, you don't need perfect credit. You don't need a huge down payment. And in fact, in some cases, you may not need a down payment at all. And at Save with Conrad, we don't say no. We say not yet, but here's how. We want to get you a plan to accomplish your short-term goals and your long-term goals. Speaking of long-term, we want to be your mortgage advisor for life. That's the reason we give you the year 3 guarantee. You see, experts seem to agree that interest rates will fall within the next few years, and we don't want you to miss out. Our exclusive year 3 guarantee allows you to refinance in the next 3 years at any time with no new lender fees. So lock in a better rate for yourself right now, reduce your monthly payments right now, and perhaps access that newfound equity and even get a cheaper monthly payment in the future with our 3-year guarantee. Let us run the numbers for you right now at savewithconrad.com. NMLS number 2129, equal housing lender, savewithconrad.com. By the way, you can email me too, Conrad at savewithconrad.com. Jeff, the number one.
Oh boy.
Of all your favorite venues that you've wrestled in, the United Center in Chicago. You did have the unique distinction of being on the card that opened up this arena for its first event of any kind, SummerSlam 1994. You wrestled Mabel there, and for some reason, Twitter has this as a gif of you. You also won your first world heavyweight title there at Spring Stampede 2000. You had arguably two of your better matches against Shawn Michaels and Razor Ramon. You teamed with Eddie Guerrero. You even got an AEW Trios title shot at the Acclaimed back at All Out 2023. There's a lot to unpack here. Why does the United Center stand out above all the rest for you, Jeff?
You know what? When I had to drill into venues and the connection that I have with them, it goes without saying. I had to look because I just think we're all a sum total of all of our life experiences. And Kia Forum's in there, and they're like, man, Jeff loves his basketball. Boston Guard's in there. But then, you know, breaking into this business and, you know, what are my aspirations? And I didn't really have a lot when I first broke in, but as time went on and time to buckle down. Yeah. I wanted to sell a lot of pictures and have picture money, and I wanted to grow in business. But at the end of the day, my goal was to work hard enough to become world champion, and just whatever it took, navigate whatever my path. And, you know, I look back and becoming the big gold and the significance and everything that kind of goes with that title and that lineage to my family, going back multiple generations, the NWA title and all that being said. But the United Center, it goes without saying, Michael's house, and that venue and the backstage and the dressing rooms and the personality and the character, and Chicago in and of itself. I had thought about Allstate Arena because I had, you know, in that WWF run, that's the last time I got to wrestle with Owen as a partner. I mean, there's all kinds of things that go with Chicago. Chicago up there, it's in a top 10 list of any talent if you've wrestled in that market. It's just that. But it goes without saying, winning the first world title there. Yes, I was on the very first show there with Mabel. That was my first high-profile pay-per-view singles win. just, that outfit, it just, there's so, I mean, I could go on and on about this, and I knew when we got into this segment that I got to be careful not to get too long-winded, Conrad, to talk about each one, but winning the world title there, the United Center, Chicago, the Bulls run of the 90s, I was fresh off of that. That was year 2000. It checked every box. And so for me, as my personal career, I found it hard, me winning my first title in that building, for me not to put that at number one.
We want to hear from you guys. What do you think are your favorite wrestling venues of all time? And Jeff, you said that you struggled with one that could have been number one. Have we covered them all? Are there any other?
Oh, there is one. And do you have any guess what it could be?
I don't.
Okay. And some people, if they've been with us,
wait, hang on. The Nashville Fairgrounds.
That because it's torn down, and because of the asylum, and I had my second match in there. There's a boatload of history, so it was hard for me not to put the sports arena on there. I put two Mexico venues on there for different reasons. Louisville Gardens and Mid-South Coliseum, those are my early territory days. So Nashville Sports Arena was almost like, yes, that without question is an honorable mention. All the history, and look, that building alone, my grandmother worked her ass off in that venue. Had it not been for that building, when the Scrooge situation in TNA and we pivoted and it was our home for 2 years, the lifeblood that it pumped into our organization, there was so many things. The heel section at TNA, me and AJ's matches, just I could go on and on. So that definitely was it. But the other one, Conrad, is not really a venue, and you're going to know where I'm going with this. But I believe in a lot of ways it had the most significant impact on my career. In a lot of ways, and I'm not just saying specific matches. I think overall, it was hard for me not to put on there the Impact Zone, Universal Studios Orlando.
Yeah,
because in so many ways, the Spike deal from 1 hour to 2 hours, to the guaranteed money coming in, it was in a lot of ways life-changing. Yes, it's not a venue. It's a 4-wall. We built it out to a studio. And when I kind of look at our residencies and, Full Sail, and there's been residencies through the years, in a lot of ways, the Sportatorium was a TV studio. 1960 Union Avenue, Channel 5 in Memphis was a TV studio, and studios all across the country. But when I think about the impact, pardon the pun, that Universal Orlando, Soundstage 21 played on my career, it's really not – it was really difficult, and I didn't know if that would have. That really wasn't a venue, Jeff. So anyway, those two, but more so the Impact Zone. It could have absolutely been in there. So this was a lot of fun, Conrad. It got me thinking, and I just don't think there's a perfect science to it. But I enjoyed the hell out of going down memory lane on all the venues I've worked in.
As a reminder, we're trying to highlight the YouTube comment of the week. So drop us one below. And if we pick yours, we will throw you an 8x10 from Autographed by the Last Outlaw in the mail. If you haven't already, go hit the subscribe button, turn on your notifications bell. That's at myworldpod.com. That's myworldpod.com. And be sure to be back with us when we're recording next week. As a reminder, you can get a peek behind the curtain and be a part of our live studio audience when you join us over at adfreeshows.com. And speaking of that, how cool is this, Jeff? This Thursday night at 8 p.m. Eastern, fresh off of a hard issue that he kicked out of, our great close personal friend, DDP, Diamond Dallas Page, is going to be watching back from the WWE Vault live. An infamous match with Randy Savage at Spring Stampede 1997. It happens over at podcastheatwrestling.com. You'll be able to ask him questions. He's going to talk about his time wrestling with Randy backstage, how important this match was to DDP's career. That's this Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern at podcastheatwrestling.com. Go hit the subscribe button, like, and turn on your notification bell. You'll also find out that channel, if you're a fan of current or nostalgia wrestling, it has something for everybody. They've been doing a great job telling a lot of tremendous stories over there. I just saw D'Lo Brown tell an untold story of how he was the agent on the now infamous Sting and Jeff Hardy match way back at Victory Road, and how he was really the first person to recognize that Jeff wasn't himself. We've also got a show called Massive Heat, where we've got people talking about what's happening in the wrestling world today. And of course, David Sahadi has been a regular there. He's touching on what's happening behind the scenes with Real American Freestyle and what it was like to work with Eric Bischoff. We've got Nick Patrick doing live Q&As, and there's a bunch more great content coming your way. Hit the subscribe button, like, and turn on those notification bells for Podcast Heat Wrestling.com. Jeff, before we put a button on today's episode, man, everybody and their brother has been talking about you outside of wrestling. And a lot of this was from TMZ. TMZ Sports first reported about a week ago that it's a story that you've told before, that when your first wife, Jill, had terminal cancer, Taylor Swift showed up at your house and performed like a 3-hour impromptu concert to sort of cheer up your family. And the story had kind of gone fairly viral when we recorded last week, but it kept getting more mainstream attention as the week went on. People Magazine covered it. Billboard covered it. Variety, Us Weekly, Parade Magazine, The Independent, BuzzFeed, Fox News, the US Sun, so many more.
Jesus.
I mean, this has to be one of the most viral stories that's ever been told in wrestling. And it's not even really about wrestling. It's a human interest story that just happens to involve a Hall of Fame wrestler who happens to be our buddy Jeff. And then this past Friday, to cap off that crazy story, you posted an unbelievable photo from our My World account. I encourage everybody to go follow My World on all forms of social media. But there you see Karen and the entire blended Jarrett family hanging out with Taylor Swift. It looks like at the beach. What's the context of this one? When exactly was that?
Oh, Conrad, isn't life crazy? I mean, the same story. Oh, so you want to know about the picture. So that picture was taken up in Maine when we shot the video. Well, yeah, but all the kids were in the video. Jacqueline.
What video?
The video that Taylor was Mine, M-I-N-E, was the name of the song. Smash hit, huge hit for her at the time. All her hits are big. But Jacqueline, right to Taylor's left, in the red dress, played little Taylor in the video. But everybody's in it. God, look how little Code Man is.
Dude, seeing Cody tickled me so big.
I'm just cracking up. Of course, everybody's looking at the camera except Codes. He's looking like, hey, Jeff, what the hell you doing way down there? Anyway.
No, I don't know if you saw, but one of the comments, because I retweeted it, and I said, how cool is this to see? And one of the first comments I saw was about Cody, and it said, hey, the little dude knew. Because it's like, from his perspective, it's like he's looking like, this is about to be the biggest star in the world, and she's at our beach vacation. What's going on?
Oh, man. It's crazy how that story took off, and I've told it a couple of different times through the years. People ask about it, but I always, people and Taylor, and look, the story, I mean, that's one of the nights that she came over, and Jacqueline at the piano, and Kira and Jacqueline were taking piano lessons at the time. And
how old are Kira and Jacqueline now?
Oh gosh. Jacqueline's 24, Kira's 22, Jaren's 21. Yeah. So,
and this is in your house. Is this upstairs, downstairs? Where are we looking at?
That's about 10 feet from me, 15 feet, right up there. Yeah. Right at the top of those steps, Conrad, as you come into the,
like your man cave now. That's where this was.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Is over there where there actually is a real piano or full blown piano now, but that was a little keyboard that we had up there. So, yeah, crazy, Conrad, how the story just kind of took off. And Steve Goldberg, TMZ Sports, shout out. When Toby Keith passed away, he really wanted me to share some comments. And for whatever reason, my head just wasn't in it in a way, in that Toby was very private. I know he's a megastar, but I just didn't feel comfortable. My head wasn't in it. So I kind of felt like, man, Steve's a good dude. I should have done him solid, done that. And then when he reached out, and I think you know this, but I don't think some of the listeners may or may not know this. He originally reached out and said, hey, man, do you have any comments on Taylor getting engaged? And to me, yeah, this is a fun subject to talk about, because me and my family, knowing her, I'll call it a little girl, but I mean, a teenager, or a young teenager at that, here in Hendersonville, knocking down doors and really, trying to cut her teeth in the music. And look, Scott Borchetta and Toby, and there's several other music folks that I knew very well. And Taylor, at a very young age, could command a room with high-powered music agents and music executives and all this people that, she's 18, 19, 20, 21 years of age, and she's kind of commanding a room and giving a vision and how she wants it. So I've always really admired, and Conrad, I know you may not be a Swiftie, but you, I'm sure, have admired from afar about her strategic moves and buying her music back and all the business savvy that she has. And her father, Scott, both the parents come from the financial world, and they're highly respected, executives prior to becoming Taylor Swift's parents. But I just, Steve, I'm like, yeah, I'll have some comments, because I think Taylor will be a great mom. I don't know Taylor, but I said, Travis, but I'll have a few comments from there. They get married. Kids got to be right around the corner. I was looking forward to, commenting on that, having fun with it. And Steve asked, yeah, hell yeah. Get Travis in AEW. I'll give him a guitar shot or two, or introduce him to some of my friends. And then as the interview went on, it just kind of came out and he got into it. And then all of a sudden, that's the headlines they took out of it. And, say Taylor Swift played a 3-hour concert. Well, if you're from, I don't say just from the South, but if you're around musical folks, hey, yeah, let me grab my guitar. Okay, so she lives 5 minutes from here. All right, come back. She starts strumming, playing a few songs here and there, and one thing led to another. And that was kind of the cool part about it. It was that time of year, Sunday afternoon or Saturday afternoon, people drop by, talk a little bit more and talk a little more. And hey, yeah, come on over to the Jarrett's household. And yeah, you want to visit, all that. And it really was, I look back on it, just kind of I guess you could say, are no coincidences, only convergences, that it was really, really a cool set of circumstances and opportunity. And I think through and think of, just kind of what a blessing it was in so many ways during that difficult time for the girls, and put smiles on people's faces. And here it is 20 plus years later, and I guess still putting smiles on people's faces. But yeah, it took off like a lightning rod. But that photo was from going up, shooting the video. And one of the, another thing that I thought was cool, and you just kind of hear about stories like this, in that, we had I think it was 2 days of shooting, but we went out to dinner one night, the cast and crew and all this. And of course, Taylor and the crew, okay, you just shut down everything. It's just us in this restaurant, and the parking is just us. But I thought as a kid how cool it was. Conrad, yep, Toys R Us. Oh, yep, Toys R Us is shut down completely. I don't know, 2 hours, 3 hours. And the girls got to go through and get Toys R Us a shopping spree, all on Taylor. But, as a little child, I can remember me and Karen looking at it like, this is great. We're me and Karen just getting together and blended family, as you said. And so for the kids to experience a toy shopping spree in a shutdown Toys R Us with Taylor was damn special as a family. So fun stories like that. It's fun to talk about, but man, yeah, it caught on pretty quick, didn't it, Connie?
It did indeed. By the way, the video you were referencing, mine, is the one that features the kids. Who all from the clan was in that video, as best you can recall?
They all got a cameo.
Okay.
There's a little dinner scene that Jocelyn and Jaron, I think they were all in a dinner scene, but Jacqueline played Taylor in you know, it's a coming of age.
I got you.
Yeah. They were all in it.
We should mention the Billboard Music Awards actually nominated Mine as a top country song, and it won Publisher of the Year and award-winning songs from BMI Country Awards. It was the Video of the Year for the CMT Music Awards.
Did it win Video of the Year?
It won Video of the Year for CMT Music Awards.
Well, I know one thing. Cody's one day going to come looking for his trophy.
Well, I bet Tay can get him one. I bet she could make a phone call and get one. And listen, I got the question. I'm sure you did too. Will you be invited to the wedding? And I said, invited? Hell, he's going to walk her down strut, a little Tennessee strut down the aisle. Can you imagine in an alternate universe, a celebrity tag match with you and Travis Kelce, and he's doing the Fargo strut with you, dude? Come on.
Talk it into existence, brother. Preach. Do it.
I'm not encouraging you to go tag Travis Kelce. And as soon as his playing days are over, I'm just saying you do have experience working with football players. The Tennessee Titans would like a word, right?
Bring it on. Bring it on.
What a great episode. Thank you guys for joining us. I hope you guys had as much fun as we did. Hit that subscribe button, turn on your notifications bell, and join us next week right here on My World.
Peace.